आणि या दरम्यान त्याचा अजून एक 2 टिपी मारपाला कसली चालेल यार तिथे सुद्धा अजून करावा काय म्हणले नाहीत ना काय नाही तेच नेट बंद
Okay, good afternoon, all of you. Welcome to this lecture of air conditioning, refrigeration, and air conditioning. So, yesterday, our last lecture, we have started the chapter psychrometry, right? So, in last lecture, we have seen the psychrometric properties. What is the meaning of psychrometry? What is the moist air? What is the composition of dry air? What is the composition of moist air? So, all those are things we have seen in the last lecture. So, quickly, we'll take a recap, and after that, we'll start our today's lecture. Okay. So let me share the screen. So once again, I will repeat, without the understanding of psychrometry, it is very difficult to understand upcoming chapters. So upcoming chapters means, so there is, next chapter is heat and load, heat and cooling load calculations. So next to that is air distribution system. So without the understanding of the psychrometry, it is very difficult to understand the remaining two chapters. Okay. So pay your utmost attention, and then we'll continue our today's lecture. Okay. So it starts with the concept of psychrometry. What is the psychrometry? Psychrometry is the study of moist air. Okay. So yesterday, or sorry, in the last lecture, I have taken a poll asking that what is the composition of moist air, right? What is the composition of atmospheric air, right? So in that we have seen that air is not only air, right? Air contains gases like oxygen, nitrogen, etc. Air contains dust particles. Air contains pollutions like SOx or NOx, right? Then air contains water vapors, so we get rain, etc., etc. So air, atmospheric air is a combination of various elements. Now, we have seen in last lecture also, so there are some atmospheric levels. So we have ground up to 10 meters, 10 kilometers from ground, we have troposphere. Inside the troposphere, we have atmospheric air plus water vapor plus dust particles. But as we move away from the troposphere, we have only dry air, right? So as we go up into the stratosphere, we have only dry air. So like that way, there is a composition of atmosphere around Earth. So first we'll see what is the moist air, then we'll see other properties, right? So this was what we learned in the last lecture. Psychrometry, right? Psychrometry is given to the study of properties of air, water, vapor mixtures, or in short, we call it as a moist air. Okay. So this is a big domain of atmospheric air. So those who are abstained in the last lecture, they should pay their utmost attention. This is a big domain of atmospheric air. Then we have mixture of gases. So we already know air contains oxygen, nitrogen, carbon dioxide, argon, etc., etc. Then we have water particles, right? So from where we get water vapor? So there is a process of evaporation. So we have oceans, rivers. From their surface, water gets evaporated. It gets into the higher levels of the atmosphere. There it gets condensed, and then we get rain. Okay, so that way that water cycle is repeated in the nature. Next, we have dust particles, right? So dust particles very common to people who are native of Solapur. We are very familiar with this kind of environment. Then next is fumes or pollution, etc., etc. So atmospheric air is combination of all these elements. So what it says that atmospheric air is a mixture of many gases plus water vapor and number of pollutants. The concentration of water vapor and pollutants decrease with altitude. Obviously, because of their density, these dust particles or heavy particles will settle down, and those who are lighter in weight or with very low density, that will move up. And above an altitude of 10 kilometers, that is above troposphere, atmosphere air contains only dry air. Dry air means it will contain again oxygen, nitrogen, etc., etc. So moist air, right? So moist air is a combination or mixture of dry air and moisture. So if you consider only dry air, it will have only constituents like oxygen, nitrogen, argon, carbon dioxide, etc. So this we have studied previously also. Molecular weight of oxygen, that is 32, nitrogen 28, carbon dioxide 44. If you take a sample of air and calculate the mole fraction, right? In that case, we'll observe that 21% will contain oxygen, 78% will contain nitrogen, remaining 1% that will contain other gases, right? So the molecular weight of air or dry air is calculated as 28.96, or you can say 29, and the gas constant here it is 287.035. So that is a gas constant for dry air. Then it comes to the concept of saturated air. So this condition occurs when there is a rainy season. आपण त्याला मराठीत म्हणतो की आज पाऊस पडेल किंवा आज ढगाळ वातावरण आहे. So in that case, what is happening? Atmosphere is getting saturated. Saturated means atmospheric air has some capacity to hold water particles. When that capacity exceeds, right, it can no longer hold the water particles, then we'll get a rain. So that condition where the air has reached its maximum capacity to hold the water particles, so that will be called as saturation condition. Okay. Right. So those who are doing annotations, their name comes on the screen. So don't be under impression that you will do some annotation or sketching and your name will not be there. So pay attention to the classes. If you want to do drawing or etc., you can quit the class and pursue your dream of drawing, etc., etc. Okay. Right. So Shivraj, pay attention. Don't make me call your name again. Right. So saturation condition. So that is what we have been studying. So it is a condition where air has reached its maximum capacity to hold the water particles. Again, molecular weight of vapor. We already know that is the molecular weight of water is 18, and its gas constant is 461.52. So why we are studying these values? Because in upcoming slides we will come to know we are calculating the some properties of the moist air. That time we will be using these values. Okay. Now Dalton's law of partial pressure. So this is where this actual chapter starts with the Dalton's law of partial pressure. So what it says that if you take a sample of air, right? If you calculate the total pressure, right? That total pressure is nothing but a summation of partial pressures. So that air will contain water particles, it will contain dry air. Water particles will have their own pressure, that is the partial pressure of water. Dry air will exert some pressure of its own, so that is the partial pressure of dry air. If you take the summation of partial pressures, you will get a total pressure. So it is as simple as it can be. Okay. So the total pressure is the summation of partial pressure of air plus partial pressure of water vapor. So that is the Dalton's law of partial pressure. And this difference between the partial pressures of air and water that will decide the atmospheric or weather conditions. If the difference between partial pressure of air and water is very high, that means that air is dry air. If the difference between the partial pressures of air and water is low, in that case, air can be saturated. Okay. Then we have seen psychrometric property. So first ever psychrometric property and very important, that is the temperature. So up to this date, we have been studying only dry bulb temperature, right? So we use what we use manometer. In that case, or thermometer. In thermometer, we calculate or we measure the atmospheric temperature, right? So whatever temperature we measure with the help of a thermometer, so that is a dry bulb temperature. Why dry bulb? So the bulb at the bottom of thermometer, that is dry. Now, when you cover that bulb at the bottom of thermometer with some wet cloth, in that case, what happens? There is a evaporation of water. And due to the evaporation of water, some amount of heat is being extracted and there is a reduction in temperature. So you will get another temperature value, that is wet bulb temperature. Okay. So for that, we have this sling psychrometer is there. There are two thermometers are there. One where there is its bulb is dry, so that will measure DBT. And there is another thermometer where its bulb will be covered with a wet cloth. This instrument will be rotated. It will be rotated to remove the excessive water content. Then, because of evaporation of water, there will be reduction in temperature. And then we will get a WBT, wet bulb temperature. So this was the old instrument, seeing psychrometer. Here we have digital psychrometer. It will so there will be some sensors inside of it. They will take the atmospheric air, then they will analyze the air and they will calculate the DPT, WBT, and DPT. Now, what is DPT? DPT is nothing but the dew point temperature. Dew point temperature is the temperature at which the liquid droplets just appear on the when the moist air is cooled continuously. So it is again very common phenomena. Now in this also you can observe सकाळी असं पानावर किंवा very surface वर दव जमा होतात, right? मराठी आपण त्याला दव म्हणतो. In English it is a dew. So dews are formed in this scenario in the early mornings in this very season. You can observe it. So what is happening in that case? Water in the atmospheric air gets condensated. So it reaches a minimum value of temperature. After that temperature, it gets condensed on its surfaces. So that temperature we are regarding it as dew point temperature. In other words, it is a saturation temperature. So the equipment used for measuring the dry bulb temperature and wet bulb temperature simultaneously is also known as psychrometer. So that also we have seen. Okay, so there are three temperatures. Always remember: dry bulb, wet bulb, and dew point. Okay. So next concept here it is saturated vapor pressure, right? So vapor pressure is nothing but the partial pressure, and when that water particles or the air reaches to saturation conditions, that pressure or that partial pressure, we are referring it as a saturated vapor pressure. Okay, so it is the saturated partial pressure of water vapor at the dry bulb temperature. It is readily available in thermodynamic tables and charts. ASHRAE suggests the following regression equation for saturated vapor pressure of water, which is valid for 0 to 100 degrees Celsius. So then there is this equation, regression equation is there. It is achieved by number of experiments, right? It is very common methodology which is carried out in engineering. You do the experiments, you correlate between the output and the input. Then you go for the regression analysis. You try to fit the curve. Again, those who will study data science subject, in data science also there is this theory of regression analysis. In that case, we are obtaining a relation between outputs and inputs. So in that case also you will observe such kind of equations, right? Then they have calculated this constant. So this process is done by ASHRAE. They have calculated this relation between dry bulb temperature and saturated vapor pressure. Then there is a table also given. So temperature versus saturated vapor pressure. So let us say now the temperature at this point is 24 degrees Celsius. So as you can see here at 24 degrees Celsius, the saturated vapor pressure is 29.6. Now what it means that, let us say, so let me draw figure so that you can understand. Okay, so just wait. So suppose this is a mixture, or this is a sample of atmospheric air. So this will contain water vapor plus dry air. So let us say if I divide this, let us say this is a water vapors, this is a dry air. Okay, so this is a atmospheric air is a combination of water vapor and dry air. Now in this case, water will exert some partial pressure. So let us say this partial pressure of water is Pw. Dry air will exert some partial pressure. So let us say that is a Pa. Okay. Now what they are saying at 24 degrees Celsius. So we are referring to this value here. The saturated vapor pressure of water here it is 29.6 millibar. Okay. Now, if you take the sample now, if you calculate the partial pressure of water vapor, it can be anything. So it can be, let us say, 20 millibar. So 20 millibar is the current partial pressure of water vapor, and the saturated condition here it is 29.6. So when this partial pressure of water vapor will reach to saturated condition, you can say the air is saturated, and there are higher chances of rain. Okay, or it can be 30 also. It can be 30 also, right? So when this partial pressure of water will reduce to 29.6, in that case, the air becomes saturated. So this way, this thing works. So there is always an actual partial pressure value, and then there is always a saturated pressure value. The difference between those will decide the weather conditions. Okay. Again, the saturated vapor condition is directly proportional to the dry bulb temperature. So this is a graph. This is a saturated vapor condition or vapor pressure in millibar versus the temperature value. And as you can see, it is an exponential graph. That means initially there is very slow rise, and after some point the rise is huge, right? So the slope is very large after some point. So saturated vapor condition, vapor pressure is directly proportional to the dry bulb temperature. That means as you reduce the temperature, saturation conditions will also lower. If you increase the temperature, saturation pressure will also increase. Next and very important term here it is relative humidity. Okay, we'll see. Relative humidity is defined as the ratio of the mole fraction of water vapor in the moist air. Okay, so it is referring to the mole fraction of water vapor in the moist air to the mole fraction of water vapor in saturated air. So you have to take two different samples. You have to take sample of moist air. Another sample will be of saturated air. If you take the water mole fraction from every sample, so ratio of mole fraction of water vapor in the moist sample to the ratio of mole fraction of water in saturated air. So that ratio is nothing but the relative humidity. It is always given in the terms of percentage. Okay. So what I mean here it is, I'll explain. So you have to take two samples, right? So these are the two samples, right? This is a sample of moist air. Moist air means any atmospheric air you will take, so that will be moist air. Again, in that case, there will be, this will be water, this will be air. You take saturated air sample. In that case, this will be water, this will be air. Now, if you take the ratio of this W1 to the W2, so W1 divided by W2, so this is the ratio of mole fractions, so that will give you relative humidity. Now, if what if both are same? So let us say this ratio gives you value of 1. That means this is the saturated air and the relative humidity is 100%. Right? So that means this sample will become saturated with air sample. Okay, so you have to compare the mole fraction of water in moist air to the mole fraction of water vapor in saturated air. So the ratio will give you relative humidity. So if you take the example of Pandharpur or the Solapur area, in our case, RH is very low. It is about 20 to 40%. If you take the example of coastal area like Mumbai or Chennai, in that case, RH is very high. It can go up to, so its range is 70 to 90%, right? So RH is nothing but it will represent the amount of water vapors present in the air compared to saturated conditions. As the RH will increase, that means air is becoming saturated. In our area, so our area, that means the Solapur or Western Maharashtra area. So it is generally referred as hot and dry area. So temperature is also high and the air is dry. In the coastal area like Mumbai and Chennai, RH is high and the temperature is also high. Right? So it is a hot and humid area. Our area is hot and dry area. Right? Now I will again give some another information in that case. So when this area is hot and dry, so Solapur area is hot and dry, it is advised to use water coolers. So whatever water coolers we are using of Symphony or other companies, so that are advised, because in this case, relative humidity is low. We want to add the water vapors. Okay, in water cooler, what happens? Water is dripping, airflow is generated, and that airflow will carry the water particles. So we indirectly we are adding water particles to the atmosphere. So in that case, for the hot and dry areas, water coolers are suggested. In this area, coastal area, already relative humidity is high. So we want to reduce the relative humidity. So for this such areas, hot and humid areas, it is advised to use AC, that is air conditioners, right? So air conditioning, the ACs, what we see, their main function is to dehumidify the air. They reduce the water content. So that is why ACs are advised to be used in the hot and humid areas, and water coolers, these are advised to use in the hot and dry areas. Okay. So we have seen ACs are being used in our area also, but it is, if you see technically, it should not happen because already in our case, humidity is very low. We want to add the humidity. In the area of like Mumbai or Chennai, humidity is already high. They want to reduce the humidity. Okay. Now using the perfect gas equation, we can show that phi. So phi is nothing but the relative humidity. It's the ratio of partial pressure of water vapor to the saturation vapor pressure of water vapor at the same temperature, right? So it is a ratio of mole fraction, also it is a ratio of partial pressure to the saturation vapor pressure. So partial pressure is given by PV and saturation pressure is given by Psat. Okay. Relative humidity is normally expressed as a percentage. When phi is 100%, the air is saturated. Saturated means air has reached its maximum capacity to hold the water particles. Now the temperature, if reduced further, in that case, we'll observe the rain phenomenon. Raining will happen. So raining can happen, or another case, the dews may get formed, condensation of water particles takes place. Next, psychrometric property, here it is. So those who want to write down, they can write down phi is equal to PV divided by Psat. So write it down actually, because we are going to study how to draw the psychrometric chart. In that case, I will be referring to these formulas, right? So if you have written already, then only you can understand, right? So psychrometric chart is again very big thing. One whole lecture will be required to explain the psychrometric chart, right? So these are very basic or the foundations for the air conditioning domain. Once you understand the psychrometric properties or the psychrometry concept, then only you can understand the advanced concept. So advanced concept means there is another chapter, heating and cooling load calculations, that is wholly and solely dependent on your understanding of the psychrometry. Again, there is another chapter of air distribution system. In that case also, understanding of the psychrometric property is very essential, right? Okay, so phi is equal to PV divided by Psat, that is the relative humidity. Next property here we are going to study is humidity ratio. So humidity ratio or the specific humidity, that is a W, is a mass of water associated with each kilogram of dry air. So it is directly the ratio of mass of water vapor to the mass of dry air, right? So if you take the sample of atmospheric air like this, right? In this case, let us say this is water, this is air. So associated with water, we have mass, that is MW. With air, we have MA. If you take the ratio of water vapor to the mass of dry air, so that will be W. Okay. So this mass again we can represent with the help of ideal gas equation. So how that we'll see next. Assuming both water vapor and dry air to be perfect gases, the humidity ratio is given by. So here we are assuming the water vapor as well as dry air as a ideal gas, and we can apply now the ideal gas equations. So mass can be written as, in this case, PV divided by RT. So I'll replace each mass by PV divided by RT. Right, so kg of water vapor will be equal to PV divided by RT of water vapor, and kg of dry air will be PV divided by RT of dry air. In this case, as you can see, V and V will get cancelled. In this case, T will also get cancelled. What we have here is PV divided by RV whole divided by PV, PA divided by RA, right? So this will what we will get, this PA is nothing but the partial pressure of air. So here in this case, water vapor will exert some pressure, so that will be partial pressure of water vapors. Dry air will exert some pressure, so that will be partial pressure of dry air according to Dalton's law of partial pressure, right? The whole will be total pressure, right? Now if you want to replace this, so total pressure will be equal to PA plus PW or the PV. If you want to replace PA, so PA will be equal to total pressure minus partial pressure of water vapor. So here that is been done. PA is replaced by total pressure minus partial pressure of water vapor. And if you put the values of gas constant of water vapor, so that is 433, gas constant for air, that is 287, you will get an equation as this. So W is equal to 0.622 into partial pressure of water vapor divided by partial pressure of air. Okay. So those who are not understanding or facing difficulty to understand should ask, because these concepts are very important, and you will understand in these lectures only, right? If you give your attention, if you go to the Google, if you search for video, there are thousands of pages are there. Definitely there are videos also there, but it will take time, right? It will take time to understand. So those who are facing difficulty or do not understood any point up to this, so they should ask. Okay. So we are at the humidity ratio. Simply it is a ratio of mass of water vapor to the mass of dry air. In other words, if you assume them as ideal gases, we can derive this equation. W is equal to 0.622 into partial pressure of water vapor divided by partial pressure of dry air. So it is to be noted that W is a function of both barometric pressure and pressure of water, right? Barometric pressure means PT, that is being measured with the help of barometer, and partial pressure of water vapor. Now next here it is relation between dPT and RH. dPT is dew point temperature and relative humidity. So without going to detail, we can say that when the RH is 100%, that means air is saturated. When the air reaches to dew point temperature, that time it is also saturated. So these are very interrelated, right? So when the temperature of air reaches to dew point temperature, that time air becomes saturated, or when the RH is 100%, that time also air is saturated. So we have to know the relation between dPT and RH. An approximate equation for dew point temperature is given by, so this is a relation between dew point temperature and relative humidity as well as dry bulb temperature. This is the equation. So where phi is the relative humidity in fraction and dPT and dBT are in degrees Celsius. The dew point temperature is the saturation temperature corresponding to the vapor pressure of water vapor. It can be obtained from steam tables. Okay, so it is a, in other words, it is a saturation temperature. So you have studied in ATD, or we have studied in first chapter also. So we can use steam tables. In steam tables, as we have seen, there will be a pressure column. So for that particular pressure, there will be a saturation temperature value. For that particular pressure value, we will have enthalpy values, entropy values, specific volume values, etc., etc. So from the steam tables also, you can know this is the pressure of water vapor. What will be its saturation temperature? Okay. So this is a relation between dPT and the relative humidity. Now next here it is degree of saturation. So it is generally the ratio of specific humidity or the humidity ratio. In that case, first we are considering the specific humidity of moist air to the specific humidity of the saturated air. So degree of saturation here, degree of saturation is the ratio of humidity ratio to the humidity ratio of a saturated mixture at the same temperature and pressure, right? So previously, as we have seen for relative humidity or the specific humidity, again in this case, you can take two samples. So one is the moist air sample, moist air. Another sample you can take of saturated air. So in a moist air, again there will be water, here will be air. In saturated air, again there will be water and air. For the each case, we will have specific humidity. Let us say here it is W1, here it is W2. If you take the ratio of these two specific humidities, specific humidity for the moist air to the specific humidity of saturated air. In that case, this ratio is nothing but degree of saturation. Okay. So write down the formula. Okay, so write down the formula. Okay, so let us move on to next property. Enthalpy. So enthalpy, we already know what is the enthalpy. Enthalpy is the energy in flow, right? So if the system is closed system, we are referring to it as the internal energy. If the system is control volume, that there is an inlet, there is an outlet, and mass is continuously flowing. In that case, we are referring it as enthalpy. Enthalpy is the energy in flow. Now, if you want to calculate the enthalpy of a moist air, okay. So if I take a moist air, again, I will take a sample of moist air. Okay. Now, in this case, again, there will be some water vapor, there will be air. Now, in this case, the total enthalpy H will be equal to enthalpy of air plus enthalpy of water vapor. So for this water particles, there will be some enthalpy associated with it, enthalpy. For this dry air, there will be an enthalpy associated with it, that is a HA. So the total energy or the total enthalpy of that sample will be enthalpy of dry air plus enthalpy of water vapor. In this case, you will see this equation HA, H is equal to HA plus WHG. Okay, WHG means W here it is the specific humidity multiplied by the enthalpy of water, right? So this will be the equation here. Now in this case, HA, that is enthalpy of dry air, is replaced by CPT. Okay, so that we have seen enthalpy is equal to specific enthalpy at constant pressure, that is Cp, and into temperature, that is a dry bulb temperature. Okay. Again, in this case, specific humidity into the enthalpy of water. So here that enthalpy of water can be written as HFG plus CPW into T, right? So Hg means enthalpy of water vapor. It can be written as this. Here in this case, this is the latent heat of water plus Cp into T. So Cp is again specific heat of water into the temperature. Right? So this is the formula for the enthalpy of moist air, enthalpy of dry air, that is Cpt, plus W into Hg. So W is the specific humidity into enthalpy of water. Enthalpy of water can be written as this latent heat plus Cpt. Okay. Now, if you put the values of Cp of air, now the Cp of air we already know that is 1.005 kilojoule per kg Kelvin. So that value is being put here. So that way it can be simplified as this. Enthalpy is equal to 1.005 times T plus W into 2501. So 2501 is the enthalpy latent heat of water plus 1.88. So that is the specific heat of water vapors, okay, not water. So it can differ as the phase changes. 1.88 into temperature. Temperature here, this temperature is nothing but the dry bulb temperature. So write down this formula. This formula is again important because when I will draw the psychrometric chart, that time how to calculate the enthalpy, that will be the question, and this equation will give you the enthalpy of moist air. Okay, so the unit of H is here kilojoule per kg of dry air. substituting the approximate values of Cp and Hg, we can obtain. So H is equal to 1.005 into dry bulb temperature, that is T, plus W, that is the specific humidity, into bracket 2501 plus 1.88 times dBT, that is a dry bulb temperature. So write down this formula, because this formula will help you in drawing the psychrometric chart. Again, here in this case, the unit of enthalpy will be kilojoule per kilogram of dry air. Okay. Now next here it is humid specific heat. Okay, specific heat, we already know it is the amount of heat required to raise the temperature by 1 degree Celsius per kg. So that is a specific heat we know. What is the humid specific heat? From the equation for enthalpy of moist air, the humid specific heat of moisture can also be written as. Okay. So this is the specific heat of moist air. So it is equal to Cp, it is of the dry air, plus this is the specific humidity into specific heat of water vapor, right? So we have CPM is the humid specific heat equal to specific heat of dry air plus W times specific heat of water vapor, right? So in the second term in the above equation, W into CPW is very small compared to the first term. For all practical purposes, this humid specific heat of moist air can also be taken as 1.0216 kilojoule per kg of dry air. Okay, so this is the standard value for the moist air. This you should know what is the specific heat of moist air. So that is a 1.021 kilojoule per kg of dry air. Right. So up to this point, we are dealing with moist air only, right? We are not dealing with other anything moist air, which is a combination of dry air plus water vapors. Right. So dry air, the Cp value here it is 1.005. For water vapor, we have seen the value here it is 1.88. And for the standard conditions, so they are assuming that this value is very low. So W times this value is very low. So that is why it is not considered. And approximately they are taking the C value for moist air, specific heat of moist air, they are taking it as a 1.0216 kg per kilogram of dry air. Right, so this value also you should know, so write it down. Now next thing here it is specific volume. The specific volume is defined as the number of cubic meters of moist air per kg of dry air. So as simple as it is, you have to know the volume of moist air, right? And you have to know in that volume how much is the kg of dry air. So if you take the ratio of that volume of moist air to the kgs of dry air, so that will be specific volume. So in other words, in terms of ideal gas equation, it can be written as like this: RAT divided by partial pressure of water, dry air. So the specific volume is equal to gas constant of dry air into dBT divided by partial pressure of dry air. So that will give you specific volume. So its unit will be meter cube of meter cube is the volume of the moist air divided by the mass of dry air. So that will be kg of dry air. Again, write down this formula. Again, there are specific volume lines in the psychrometric chart that also we have to study. Okay. And this is what we have been talking last half an hour, psychrometric chart. So psychrometric chart is a very important thing, or it is actual, what we can say, canvas of air conditioning subject, right? You know the canvas, we draw the paintings, right? You have this white cardboard is there, on that you are drawing the paintings, you are painting with the help of colors, etc., etc. So this is just like that. This is a graphic representation of all the processes happening in an air conditioning system. Okay. So we'll see one by one. So today we'll stop at this point. In next lecture, I will explain you how to draw the psychrometric chart. So the psychrometric chart graphically represents the thermodynamic properties of moist air. Thermodynamic properties mean whatever we have seen up to this point: temperature, relative humidity, specific volume, dBT, WBT, dPT, etc., etc. Standard psychrometric charts are bounded by dBT line, that is abscissa. So that is on horizontal axis. We have dBT, dry bulb temperature, and the vapor pressure or humidity on ordinate. So see here, this is a abscissa. On here we have dry bulb temperature values. On ordinate, here we have specific humidity or vapor pressure values. Psychrometric charts are readily available for standard barometric pressure of 101.325 kilopascal at sea level and for normal temperature 0 to 50 degrees Celsius. So for every pressure, this chart will be different. So this is the chart for only atmospheric pressure, that is 101.325 kilopascal. If the pressure changes to 2 bar, in that case again we will have different psychrometric chart. Right. So let us see what are the other graphs here. Here you will observe such curve lines are there, right? So these are the curve lines. So these curve lines are nothing but the relative humidity curves. This curve at the boundary, here it is the saturation curve, because the relative humidity here it is 100%. So like that, here it will be 100%, here it will be 80%, here it will be 50%, here it will be 30%, etc., etc. Next line, here we have enthalpy lines. So what you see, this dash lines here. So these are nothing but the enthalpy lines. Sometimes these enthalpy lines are coincident with the wet bulb temperature lines also. Okay, so these inclined lines here, what you see here, it is so not the inclined lines. So this dark bold lines, so these are the constant enthalpy lines, and sometimes these constant enthalpy lines are coincident with the wet bulb temperature lines, right? Again, here we have this dashed lines, inclined dashed lines like this. So the inclined dashed lines are the specific volume lines, right? Again, in this case, if we draw the vertical lines, so vertical lines will represent constant temperature lines, right? If you draw the horizontal lines, so that will be constant specific humidity lines, right? So again, I will explain psychrometric chart is very important. It is a graphical representation of all the processes happening in an air conditioning system. It is very important to know the system before constructing it. Here on abscissa, we have dry bulb temperature. On ordinate, we have specific humidity. Another boundary, here it is the saturation curve, that is a 100% relative humidity. So like that, we have other curves for relative humidity. We have bold inclined lines like this for the enthalpy. We have dashed lines for the specific volume. We have vertical lines for the constant temperature line, and we have horizontal lines like this for the constant specific humidity lines. So like that, there will be a psychrometric chart. Let me show you. So I hope you are able to see. So this is a ASHRAE psychrometric chart. So ASHRAE has also come up with this psychrometric chart. There is other chart also is referred, that is a Carrier. So Carrier is the company, so that companies are also referred one psychrometric chart. Okay, so this is a what psychrometric chart will look like. Again, in this case, abscissa will be dry bulb temperature. Ordinate, here it will be specific humidity. There will be another boundary. So this boundary is the 100% relative humidity or the saturation curve. Here we will have constant specific enthalpy lines. Again, you will have dashed lines are for the specific volume. So like that, other properties will also be shown on this psychrometric chart. So this is the ASHRAE psychrometric chart, which is at normal temperature at the sea level and for the barometric pressure of 101.325 kilopascal, right? So this is the chart given by ASHRAE. So we'll study this also. First, we have to study the basics of psychrometric chart, how to draw it. So that we'll see in the next lecture. So be attentive. Understanding of psychrometry is very important if you want to study the air conditioning processes. right? So if any doubt up to this point, kindly ask. Meanwhile, you can put your attendance in the chat box. So wait, let me enable the chat. Yes. So those who have any problem or not understood, they can ask, or you can put your attendance in the chat box. Yes, any doubt? So you can also go to the YouTube